everybody. I'm Addie Broyles, a writer, podcaster, content creator in Austin, Texas, and I am very happy to be here with my panelists. We're going to be talking about social media, PR, and marketing today. A quick definition before we get started. PR is for press releases, or it's the world of publicity. It's similar to marketing, but a little different. We'll be hearing about that from some of our panelists. And then social media, I think you know probably what social media is, but you're going to hear from these panelists about how they use social media in their lives and some tips on how you can turn your social media into a brand, a business, a project, all kinds of different things. So would you all mind to introduce yourselves, say just what you do, and maybe just a quick story about how you got there? If you can condense your life into a minute.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Karen Reinsberg. I am the co-founder of CoupleInTheKitchen.com. I fell into content creation somewhat by accident. I went to school for advertising and then just worked in consulting for finance. And then I started an Instagram account that started to grow. And now the next thing you know, I'm producing recipes and food photography for major brands, major grocery stores, as well as our social media feed, Couple in the Kitchen.
And I'm Gavin Booth, the other half of Couple in the Kitchen. And outside of all of that, I'm also the owner of Greenbelt Kombucha, which is sold all over Texas at H-E-B and Whole Foods.
Hi, my name is Mimi. I'm the creator behind FeedMi. Like Karen, I also kind of stumbled on this by accident. I am an epidemiologist full-time, and I've always enjoyed trying new foods, cooking, and just going to explore the cities. So now I make TikToks and Instagram videos and photos.
That's awesome. I never knew you were an epidemiologist full-time.
Completely different.
Learning things about each other already.
Yes.
My name is Bryan Gonzalez. I am a senior director of digital content and public relations at Giant Noise here in Austin. But I've been in the restaurant industry for like 10 years, if not more. I started as a busboy, actually, at a sushi restaurant in San Antonio called Sushi Sushi. Worked my way up to server, bartender, manager. And then when the Sushi Sushi was going to open here on 5th Street, I was the GM of that location. I then got taken into the corporate office to be their first marketing manager. Did that for about 4.5 years. Then I made the jump to El Chile Group, and I opened 6 restaurants with them. And then while I was at El Chile Group, I hired Giant Noise to do our PR. I was like, I know that they're the best. So I hired Giant Noise, and then things started going south at El Chile Group, as they sometimes do in the restaurant industry. So I was friends with Elaine, the principal of Giant Noise, and I said, hey, can I have a job? And she said, yes, of course.
So there's some career advice just in Bryan's story, which is
always ask for what you want.
Yes, don't burn any bridges.
100%.
And be fluid as things are ebbing and flowing and changing. Take advantage of the networking that you've done. I mean, listen, networking is the name of the game, and I would say that that's actually maybe the thread that connects all of these different aspects of advertising. I mean, would one of our advertising experts just sort of briefly give us a advertising, marketing, PR umbrella description?
Like Bryan.
I was like, I feel like we can do it as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Sounds good. You want to start with PR?
PR. PR stands for public relations. That is earned media, and it's essentially storytelling. Taking the founding story of a brand and pitching it to people like Addie, and getting them a third party to tell what makes that brand so great and how it was founded, where it's from, why it exists, and who they're talking to.
Yeah.
That's PR. Social media, we all know what social media is. I like to say that PR and social media are 2 wings of the same bird. You need both. They're both different mediums of storytelling. And that's what we're all here to do.
Yeah.
Tell our stories.
Yeah. Well, and with social, the brand can tell their own story to a certain degree,
100%.
right? But when it goes into PR, you're really hoping somebody else, you're entrusting them with that story. So that can be tricky.
Definitely.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I would say, since I studied advertising in college, advertising is traditional in the sense where the brand controls their messaging, down to doing market research, figuring out, what they want to communicate, coming up with the art direction, as well as copywriting or what the message is. And that's really the brand putting out the message. So social media is almost kind of a mix of both. If you think about it, like if you're the brand, you're developing your marketing strategy around advertising, right? You can control that message, you can control the creative and the content. But on the other side, the cool thing about social media is other people are talking about it as well, which is really transferable to what Bryan was sharing. You know, how do you help get other people talking about your brand on social media? Or if you work with influencers, how do you help to not necessarily control the message, but mold some of the talking points that you're trying to convey?
And then marketing, do you think of marketing being different from advertising? Or do you think of that as all
I
storytelling?
think
like
marketing
an
is like the wing that he talked about. If
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah.
in forms of wings.
Yeah.
And PR and social media are the two like halves of that.
Of marketing, yeah, for sure. That is what makes sense to me. And if you were to really think high level about it, it's storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And it's community building. Every brand, no matter if you're a restaurant or you're a chef or you're a product, a CPG product in the grocery store would be like a consumer packaged good product, which is what Gavin has. You are trying to create a community of people who want to consume your product or come to your restaurant or like your picture on Facebook or on Instagram. Does that excite you guys that this is where we're at right now with marketing? It's not the Mad Men days anymore where you're just having to buy an ad in Time magazine and that or a billboard. That was your only option to advertise was a television commercial. And now we have a TikTok celebrity here.
Yeah, I think what's really great about social media is that, like, you know, anyone can post about a restaurant they love or a product they love. Like, essentially, all of your customers are your social media stars. Like, they'll share with their community, their friends. They don't necessarily have to have like a huge follower. And like, especially on TikTok, like you can have 10 followers and still get hundreds of thousands of views. So yeah, I think social media is just really important to play into all the social or marketing and PR.
Well, it's so interesting to watch how it's evolved over the years too, because when I graduated from UT in 2009, Facebook for business was just becoming a thing. Twitter had existed for a little while. Instagram didn't come along until 2011, and now we're seeing more and more requests from our clients to do TikTok, to work with TikTok creators and influencers. And I'm excited to see where that goes and what that trajectory looks like, because since then it's just been straight up.
Yeah, it evolves. It definitely does. And so it's something, as a creator, we're really trying to always keep our finger on the pulse of like what's the buzz of like the new social networks coming out. And even if it's not even a big thing yet, we like log on and like claim our handle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I don't want anyone else to steal my name. And yes, it's trademarked, so maybe we could get it back. But anyways, it's like, okay, there's a new thing that like someone is talking about, and I don't think they have any users yet, but like I'm gonna go in and claim that name, because you wanna make sure that you're able to be nimble and, you know, transition across spaces, because things do ebb and flow quickly.
Experimentation is so important in being an early adopter. So when Twitter first came out or when Instagram first came out, the people who jumped on those platforms and snagged their handles and started treating that seriously as a marketing effort did very well. I mean, Sweet Leaf Tea is my favorite example. They were like the first big food brand in Austin on Twitter, and it really changed the course of their business. Okay, so we have culinary students who are in high school right now watching this. Put yourself in that mindset. You're learning how the fundamentals of cooking in a kitchen, but you're also learning some of the other aspects of running a food business. How would some of these students know that they might be good in these types of jobs? Like, what are the types of things that they might be doing or thinking about or spending their time now doing that maybe like you might want to hire one day?
So I don't even know if it's necessarily what you do is good. I think it's more what do you enjoy. So like,
100%.
I mean, for us, and I'm sure same with her, we did it just because we loved doing it. And then we started growing a following naturally. And then from there, you naturally want to be better yourself. So you started investing in better cameras or whatever, and just investing in yourself to grow and be better. So focus on your lane of what you actually personally enjoy versus what do you think you're good at that can make you money.
There are so many resources to learn. I mean, I look back at our first post like 7 years ago, and we thought it was awesome. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do we delete this, or is this like nostalgic so we keep it? And the biggest thing is that there are so many resources. You can pay to learn things, or you can just watch a ton of TikTok. I would say the biggest piece of advice I have if you want to get in the media space is just start creating.
Yeah.
Even if it's not perfect, really progress over perfection is huge, especially in the content game. The more content you produce, it's really practice so you can continue evolving, and the more the better.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to just experiment, like try different things. Don't like just stick on one thing, so you can really learn what you like, and don't be afraid to fail as you go. Like Karen said, like my first photo had this horrible filter on it, but you definitely learn as you go, and something like you develop or you find out that you're good at over the years, so it doesn't just come like overnight.
Yeah. To kind of echo that, I think try anything, try everything, especially if you're creating dishes and recipes and actively cooking. Get a tripod, film it. You don't know. I have a saying, and it's I'll try anything twice. If you don't like it the first time, give it another shot. You could like it later. Your tastes evolve.
That's true.
But yeah, just get in there, start recording, start editing, start documenting what you're doing, because that's organic storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's what people respond to.
Yeah, and I think failure is like super relatable too. So you don't have to have like a perfect recipe all the time. Like show your failures, show like you over salting something. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's what makes TikTok so great, because not everyone on there is like polished all the time. Like we're all just a hot mess on TikTok, and I love it.
I've definitely had a drink explode in my face on Instagram Live.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And I also want to encourage people to not try to replicate what you see that's already out there. So, when I was coming up, Rachel Ray was the big food personality, and the food media wouldn't be what it is today if everybody was just trying to do what Rachel Ray did.
Yeah.
And why TikTok I think is so special is that people are doing it in their own way, and they're overlaying their interests and their hobbies and their demographic and where they live and their accent, and that's what makes it so special. So don't hide the individual parts of yourself when you make this content. And I think that no matter where you are in the kitchen or in your career, it's important to be making this content and to be thinking about yourself as a brand. Because people are going to want to hire you, even if you're just on the line. How great if you take your TikTok and Instagram seriously. That's going to be something that an employer is going to want, because they see that you're with it and you're paying attention and you treat your content seriously. Content, that word, I really like to use that word though, because it shows that we're doing things that make our lives content, right? Like when I go hiking and I make content out of it, it doesn't feel like bad, because it's, we all make content of stuff that we love.
Yeah.
And then we've happened to find ways to sell it or to help it sell our products. Or okay, so I want to talk about on the publicity side of things, the people aspect of it. Like,
wait, can I say one thing real quick? And not like to kind of extend on what you said. Don't just not hide the parts of yourself, but showcase the parts of yourselves, because that is what's going to make you unique and different and celebrated. And when we're looking to partner with influencers for a campaign like Pepsi or Lipton or some of those big brands that come to Giant Noise all the time, we're constantly looking for diversity. We're constantly looking for what is it that makes this person unique among their subset of friends and celebrated. How can this brand talk to their community?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest piece of advice too, is like, don't be afraid to be very niche. Like figure out who you are. Don't be afraid to be really specific. I think sometimes when we first started out, we were like, let's just highlight food. There are so many people that generally can do that, and it's hard to differentiate yourself. So even if you think, there can't be that many people that like this certain thing, go there, because that's how you're really going to create your community, create your tribe. And that's how you will really differentiate yourself across a very busy space.
I love that. These are all such good tips. Okay, so I was thinking about around the networking side of this is that people who are storytellers, people who do marketing and get into this PR world tend to be maybe the gregarious types who really like to connect with other people and do that. Well, you know somebody? Well, let me introduce you to somebody else. Talk about the importance of that, those soft skills is what I would probably call them, but those people skills in all of this.
I would say just in general, be a nice person. Kindness is everything. Don't, like you said, don't burn any bridges. You never may know if that's a resource you can use later. And I don't know, the people that we like working with the most are kind, genuine, authentic, real, which is why we love working with you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I always try to be a natural connector and not expecting anything back. Like for me, if I know I'm interested in this, I want to go meet people that are also interested in that same thing. And then when I hear about other people's interests, I'm like, hey, I know someone who's just like you. And you never want to expect anything back. But at the end of the day, if you're a natural connector helping others, people are going to help you.
Yeah, Gavin is a really good connector. Like, I feel like he's always finding ways of being like, oh, you're doing this thing? I need to introduce you to this person, and, this would be a really cool pop-up or whatnot. So you're naturally, I think, a lot more stronger at that than me, which is great.
I mean, there's a reason why I asked this question on this panel, because I think you all are really good at it. And it's about building trust. Just like if you are a restaurant owner, you're trying to build trust with the people who are walking into your door. Well, when you're working in this media space, you're trying to build trust with journalists, with influencers. The journalists are trying to think about, well, who are the brands and the PR people that I know I can really trust, and they're going to give it to me straight. Or if I'm under deadline on this story and I really need to go to somebody, I know Bryan is going to be able to help me out. So if you're that kid in class who's like always bringing people together, or like organizing things after work or after school, like the club type, the joiner type of person, there's a huge world for you out here, because we're all just we're weaving this fabric of like helping each other out. During the pandemic, some of the restaurants that I think got the most positive press in this community were the ones who were organizing meal trains, and they were helping out the workers, and they dove into how can we serve this community, not how do I make sure that my bank account is okay right now.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of the best I think that's some of the best marketing you can get, is when you are coming from that place of genuine wanting to connect and help.
Yeah.
And if I'm thinking from like a high schooler perspective, and maybe I don't have a connection base because I'm in high school and I just like doing my high school things, you want to start your community, you want to start your social media, find something you enjoy. So if it's a restaurant in town, whether or not you work for them or not, or say some local food company that you love from a farmer's market or whatever, once you've already started creating content, go to them and be like, hey, can I help you? Whether or not you want to get paid or not is one thing, and eventually, most likely, they probably will. But if you want to break into it and you don't have any connections, start creating your content and then go to these places and be like, I really love your product, I really love your restaurant. Can I help you, without expecting anything back?
Absolutely.
And once you have that relationship, like, work hard and meet your deadlines, do your homework. Because I'll say, we get paid to create content by some very, very large brands, and we're at the point where we don't have to reach out to anyone or apply for anything. People that we've worked with years ago, they just come to us like every holiday season or every barbecue season, because they're like, hey, we like working with you, you were on time, you did good work. And so once you establish those connections, really fostering them and doing a good job will just make a huge difference in your career.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I want to talk about, maybe this is far out there or not out there, but the importance of creativity in this job. We talk about new platforms coming out there. TikTok was really intimidating to me for a long time, because I was like, I don't know if I'm creative enough to be on this platform. But also, there are new ways to market to customers these days, including like meetup groups, or like, especially in the virtual space, like think about the pivot that had happened. Like, how do we create like tastings that happen on Zoom? Restaurants are having to be creative in these intense times. How do you stay creative? Where are your sources of creativity? Who does it really well?
I'm just gonna say, like, think about like what would Kanye do? And I'm not even a Kanye West fan, but like he always just goes so out on a tangent and so different that it creates a lot of exposure. So I need to lean in more towards what would Kanye do. But I think that's a really good example of someone who just fosters creativity and does things big and wacky and gets noticed.
Oh, I have an example. So Gary Vaynerchuk has always been one of my favorite marketing guys. If you're really starting to get interested in marketing and business stuff, go follow Gary V. He got into NFTs based on did like doodles that he would draw, and then he made the NFT out of the doodles, and then now that's going to be how you get into his conferences and how you get into these
Oh my God.
like
What's an
mentoring.
NF?
It's like a mentoring network.
Yeah.
Wait, what do the letters stand for?
Non-fungible token.
Non-fungible token. Sorry.
Gavin's all about those.
So Brian, this is what I mean about like, I'm going to tell you that, and you are going to go take
learning so much.
NFT to your clients, and at some point in the next 5 years, one of your clients is going to have an NFT. I guarantee it.
Non-fungible token.
It's like buying the barcode to a meme that's only, then it becomes your meme, and then it's almost like applying the stock market to the internet.
To content.
To content,
Yeah.
exactly.
Crazy.
Why did I not know that?
Well, because to be honest, this has never come up in a food panel before, and it is a little out there. But the whole point of this is just to say
There's
there's
lanes that are
so
still
many
to be
creative things that you can do,
Yeah.
no matter what your interests are, no matter what level you're at, no matter if you don't know anybody and you're in your first job and you're a busboy at the sushi restaurant. Your creativity in that job probably is what got you to be a manager.
And I think kind of also another kind of area that's just starting to grow now that kind of social media companies are pushing, especially Facebook during the pandemic. They started pushing Facebook groups heavily. So whatever you're interested in, there's either 100% a Facebook group that's growing that you should join, or you should create it yourself. And I guarantee you other people who just search for it and want a community that of something you like will join that too. And that's one area that you can network, one area where you could find somewhere to take creativity from and use it your own spin on it. But that's one area where if you have no network, you can find it online at Facebook, like a Facebook
And
group
to
type
learn.
place. And
Like,
to learn as well, yeah.
I've learned a lot about creating our website and search engine optimization and all this stuff just from Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of getting creative with PR, sometimes you're forced into that space of creativity because you're not getting a hit, or you're working with a client that has a complex story to tell, and there's a lot of nuances that need to be considered. So then maybe it's something like getting press for an event or a contest or some sort of different meetup that's educational.
I think a lot of people get into culinary because they want to make art on the plate, right? I think there's a real art to this type of storytelling, and I just want to really encourage everybody to remember that at the heart of that is a form of connection, and to just if you come at it with that intention, it makes like making a TikTok or making an Instagram post or a press release, it brings a little bit more heart to it. So those are my parting words. Does anybody else have anything they want to say before we sign off?
I mean, I would say, as you're making dishes, as you're creating recipes, as you're plating all of these beautiful things, think about the story that you can tell on social. Why did you put these ingredients together? Why did you plate it in this way? Is it your grandmother's recipe? What does it mean to you? Is this your ultimate comfort food? My ultimate comfort food will always be a bean and cheese taco and flour. but think about the story that a plate or a dish or a meal can showcase, and how can you tell that to the most diverse audience possible?
Yeah, definitely always just, be yourself. Don't be afraid to fail, and just do what you love. Like, because if you want to have like a career out of this, is something you have to do for years and years. And if you are just doing it to like get a check or get followers, then you're going to burn out like real quick. So.
I would say my advice would be always keep learning. Like, even when we go on vacations, we center it around going on food tours, like taking a cooking class to learn that cuisine. Not even just on the business side, but just, be curious and learn as much as you can wherever you are, and finding ways to incorporate that into your content is going to keep you interested. Because again, social media is a long game. And it's something that you might be able to open your audience's eyes to.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're having fun and not expecting money, not expecting anything out of it, you're going to have a good time. And most likely, if you do that for a long enough time, good things will come from that.
It's true. All right. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here.